there later.
Yeah,
It's all yours.
Try to get an extra baby and bug.
I know stuff from a practical standpoint.
How much work do you want to do? Did you laugh when you saw that?
Five now. Five in a new pump.
I have to find
Some
something.
kid that's running around.
Yeah.
Yeah, younger, yeah.
Yeah, just throw that in.
One of them I talked to about now it's like ending close.
Oh, no, we're putting it in. Just a passive.
All right, good evening, everybody. Call the meeting to order. Would you please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Evening, everybody, and welcome. First order of business is to get our elections underway, and election of board, election of chairman.
I nominate Aaron Cooley.
Thank you, Scott.
I shall second that motion.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, ask for a vote then, please. Thank you very much. Aaron, you are elected.
It's been real, sister.
Thank you, Erin.
Thank you guys for your support. I know I can have much competition. Still appreciate it.
The next order of business is election of a vice chairman. Do we have a nomination?
I nominate Stephanie.
Second.
Any discussion? Are there any other nominations for vice chair? Seeing none, all those in favor of Stephanie Herbeck as vice chairman? Yes, it's not good. Thank you. Congratulations, Stephanie. Right. Moving on to election of vice chair pro tempore. Do we have a nomination?
I nominate Amy. I'll second that.
Thank you, Beth. Any other nominations for vice chair pro tempore? Seeing none, do I have a motion for nominations to cease?
Make that motion.
Thank you, Destiny.
Second it.
A vote on nomination ceasing. All those in favor? Thank you. And all of those in favor of Amy Henley for Vice Chair Pro Tem? Thank you. Congratulations, Amy. The first order of business is action on minutes. To see what action the board wishes to take regarding approval of the minutes from the meeting held on August 18th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Destiny.
Second.
Thank you, Amy. Any discussion?
I somehow come up with the wrong number for Region 9. There's actually 67 kids from Telstar there. So I was told last Wednesday night. I asked her twice to make sure, but I don't know where I got the number 45 from. My selective hearing, I guess, I'm sure.
You said 67 is the,
67.
thank you.
Wow,
that is great.
That's a lot more than last year.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll edit those before we get them posted on the website, thank you.
Any further discussion on last meeting's minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from the meeting held on August 18th, 2025? Thank you. Any abstentions? Yes. Thank you. Moving on to citizen comments. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to speak this evening? Thank you. Moving on to board member comments. Are there any board members that would like to speak? Justin?
If anyone has gone through the proposals for the delegates assembly and has anything they would like me to be able to bring up or anything they feel strongly voting on, please let me know before the meeting comes on October, I think it's 18th, something like that.
Thank you, Justin. Stephanie?
I don't know if this is the right place to ask for this, but we had, can we look at moving the December meeting? It's the dance
I
recital
remember we
night.
hit that last year too, I think, didn't we? We were close.
I don't know,
Okay.
the dance recital's late this year.
Okay.
I thought I avoided it till the dates came out.
I know, you did it late, because the dance recital's usually early, and now the dance, so, I don't know if that's a possibility, but I do know.
We can definitely look into that.
A
yeah,
lot of us
absolutely.
have a dance. And my kid won't make it on stage if I'm not there, so. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other board member comments? Seeing none, I will move on to the chairman's report, which I'd just like to thank everyone for your continued support and confidence in electing me as a chair. Like I said, I know it wasn't contested, but it's still a privilege to be able to serve in this role. And again, yet another annoying reminder about the MSMA Fall Conference that's on October 23rd and 24th. I'd encourage you guys to go. It's nice that there's a variety of workshops offered, but you can build your itinerary too, so you can really kind of pick and choose what you're interested in and would benefit from. It's a good opportunity to double down. We don't have a lot of PD opportunities as board members. And that concludes the chairman's report. Moving on to upcoming committee and board meetings. The next SAD 44 board meeting will be held on Monday, October 20th at 6:30 here in the Telstar Library. The Education Committee will meet Thursday, October 9th at 3 p.m. in the Norway Savings Bank Conference Room. Facilities and Personnel will meet Monday, October 20th at 5:15 before a regular board meeting in room 131 here at Telstar. Finance and Negotiations Committee will be meeting Tuesday, October 7th at 5:30 at the Norway Savings Bank Conference Room. And the Policy Committee will meet Monday, October 6th at 10 a.m. in room 131 here at Telstar. And the Region 9 Cooperative Board will be meeting, I believe it's a Wednesday, October 1st at 6 p.m. at the Region 9 School of Applied Technology in Mexico. And moving on to committee reports. Reporting for the Education Committee, I'm Stephanie Kaya.
The Education Committee met last Thursday. We elected our chair and vice chair, and we kind of made a roadmap of things that we would like to talk about this year. One of the things that we'll be looking at with a little bit more depth than in past is some of the different test results and some of that data. The transition of PowerSchool has made that a little bit easier because there's quite a few different compare and contrasting reports that can be run pretty quickly through PowerSchool. So we'll be leveraging some of that data, and then we also got some updates from Mr. Twitchell on some of his collaborative work that he's been doing with other area curriculum directors and kind of just looking at curriculum as a whole and the sharing of ideas among other districts. So we are looking forward to some of that work this year.
Second. And for facilities and personnel, Brian?
Yep, so it looks like you folks went over at the last meeting. I was not in attending, so a lot of summer projects. It was really nice to see the full list of everything that the team was able to tackle. A lot of good vendors that they're working with right now, some of which donated material and time from the sounds of things. Pretty much everything came in on budget for what it looks like, and moving in the right direction. Lighting looks like it's going to be moving forward in the next couple of weeks. Sounds like we're going to have a walkthrough with those folks before everything gets started, but moving in the right direction. And then on the horizon for us is we're going through some job descriptions just that have not been touched in a long time. So kind of what they're doing with policy, we're going to be looking at those.
Thank you, Brian. The Finance and Negotiations Committee did not have a quorum for their last meeting, so we had not elected officers yet. Can I put you on the spot, Destiny, or do you mind saying a little bit about the meeting? Thank
We
you.
just had like a conversation, where things stand, the summer projects that, were completed. Just some informal conversation really about, how things are gonna be. And when we meet again, we'll be voting on our chair.
Thank you, Destiny. And for the Policy Committee, Ms. Herbeck.
So we also elected our chair and vice chair, since I'm running my mouth. I'm chair, and Destiny Hughes was nominated as vice chair. There are two policies that are going to be, going to see later on in the agenda that we're going to do a first reading on. One was our mission statement. We sort of combined two documents, took the best of both to create what we thought was a good mission statement, and that feels not so policy-y. But just keep in mind that it's something that's going to serve as a foundational guide for decision-making. It's going to set the tone and direction for administration and staff and us, and a framework for evaluating. So even though it feels kind of fluffy, look at it through that lens when we look at it, that everything's going to kind of be held to that standard. We also looked at building use. We kind of discussed this, started this discussion at the last meeting and decided that we did want to keep our buildings and grounds open for events and meetings through the community. We made some changes that you will see, basically around liability insurance, any custodial costs that need to be covered by the group, and we specified rooms within each building that can be used for the events instead of opening up the entire school. So that's basically it. You'll see those later on for our first reading.
Thank you, Stephanie. And for the Region 9 Clock Report, Mr. Brown.
Nothing new to report at this time.
Okay.
Well, they have turned the water over to the lawyers and the politicians, so it could be a while.
Thank you, Yvette. And I'll now turn it over to Mr. Kenny for the Superintendent's Report and Correspondence.
All right, good evening again. We had a couple of appointments since school started. Robert Bishop, CPS custodian, filling the open position at Crescent Park. Diana Marie Howe, an EdTech 3 down at Woodstock in Special Ed. And Amber Rice, an EdTech 3, filling a Special Ed position at Crescent Park. Schedule B appointments, we just have one, Linda Yates being Woodstock Youth Advisor. Resignations, Elizabeth Buck, school bus driver. Roxanne Kai, who was an EdTech 3 at Woodstock and Special Ed, both effective August 22nd, 2025. And we have two upcoming retirements. Tim O'Connor, Telstar Middle School, High School teacher, and Brenda White, Crescent Park teacher, to be effective June 30th, 2026. So,
Be good for them.
And
bittersweet to see those, but well deserved. As Aaron mentioned, the MSMA conference coming up in October. If you would like to stay over and do the Thursday, Friday night carryover, just let Mrs. Gunderson know, and she will set up. There are blocks of rooms at discounted rate. She can do all the arrangements for you. And then I have the date incorrectly changed this since I put the agenda together. But this week and in the coming weeks, the buildings will all be doing their lockdown drills. Tomorrow is actually going to be the drill day here for the Telstar complex. And Crescent Park has picked a date in October 2nd, Thursday. Day before Grandparents' Day. I saw the calendar, and then we will work on a day for Woodstock, but these drills this year are gonna be done in-house, self-contained, and going through scenarios, and then debriefing afterwards. It's really trying to make sure that we have all the new staff on board with the procedures and policies around lockdowns, and just to fine tune, making sure that all of our technology is working correctly. And then we will do another round in the spring. We are required by state law to do 2 a year, so one in the fall, one in the spring. If any of you would like to participate in that, please let me know. You can be an observer. I'll be in my office watching the cameras in the Google Docs. We have a really good system that works very well for communication. I did forget to put on here that this coming Saturday, we, as in the district, are participating at Sunday River in the Oxford County emergency drill, where they're having a recreation of a bus rollover. We have student volunteers coming up to play the victims in the bus rollover. They're going to spend their Saturday up at Sunday River in the parking lot. Amy's going to be participating on the town and Newry side of things, but we'll be going through a whole ordeal. There's going to be, well, at the last meeting I was at, there'll be 2 hospitals, 3 ambulance services, 5 fire departments, and 6 different law enforcement agencies all participating in this drill. And the scenario is that our high school soccer team is on the way to a game, and a deer jumps in front, and the bus rolls over and ends up in the ditch. And they are going through the whole protocol of what this looks like, how this works for all the different agencies, trying to coordinate their communications, who's doing what role, and all the different parts and pieces that come with that. So we, Mr. Elliott and Ms. Moore, have got a group of kids who have volunteered to give their day. They're going to get community service hours for it, and we're going to go through the whole process of like from start to finish and the whole reunification piece of it. For the training for them, but it's also just for what our role will be if this were to happen and were to occur and what it looks like. And then the other piece on the agenda, the technology refresh updates. Thanks to some creative last minute ordering and rush deliveries, we were able to get our iPads in for the start of school, when originally they told us it was going to be November for half of them. So we have now completed the rollout of iPads grades all the way through 8th grade. Staff as well, and the high school staff has their devices to prepare for next year's refresh for the high school. And then once we have this all completed next year, we will look to sell laptops to the community. We haven't done that for a few rounds, and we learned last time that's going to the reseller that we were working with. We didn't give as good of a deal as we had the previous times. So giving them back to our community at a discounted rate, the ones that are in good working order, the ones that aren't, we will sell to the reseller and get something out of them. But next summer, that'll be coming up as an option to be looking out for. And at that point, we'll be in a 4-year refresh cycle, but we will be K-12 district-wide iPads for the first time as a district, making a full transition. And with that, that concludes my superintendent's report for tonight.
You do not have any old business to tend to this evening or adjustments to the agenda. That being the case, we'll move to number 3. To see what action the board wishes to take regarding approval of the superintendent's recommendation of the following appointments to the district's local credential committee, LCC, for 3-year terms. Brenda White, CPS, and Dee Robinson for Telstar. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, second. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Amy, and I'll open the floor for discussion.
If Brenda's retiring next year, this is a 3-year term.
Brenda's put her letter in.
Oh, no, it's one of those. Okay. Copy that.
And we're not sure.
Okay.
The term exists for 3 years. If she chooses to retire and step away, then we'll fill the extra 2 years. There was nobody else up for the seat, so she was willing to continue in that role, and then if she does retire, then we will fill the remaining 2 years of the seat at that time.
What does the local credential committee do?
So the state deems each local district to be responsible for monitoring and managing all of the teacher and ed tech recertification over their 5-year span, approving all of their.
Just the research or?
For research, it's all for research.
Okay, good.
And so every 5 years, everyone's up for research, and so they help go through the process, make sure all the documentation's there. They have to send it, the committee has to send approval to the state as a final piece for the individual to get their certification.
There's 6 people on it altogether? Or there's 3-year terms, there's 2 people on it, or?
There are 5 staff members and 1 administrator, yes, 6 total.
They all gotta be teachers or ed techs?
Yeah.
Or what?
Or
both-
one administrator, but yes.
Either or though on the teaching status, either that or ed tech?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all of those in favor of approving the superintendent's recommendation for Brenda White and Dee Robinson for district's LCC for 3-year terms? Thank you, it's unanimous. Number 4, to see what action the board wishes to take regarding approval of the TPEG, Teacher Evaluation and Professional Growth Handbook for the 2025-2026 school year. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve?
Thank you, Stephanie. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Destiny. Now opening the floor for discussion.
So each year this comes to you as a board for approval. This is the system that the state requires to have a local evaluation system, teacher evaluation system. And through negotiations last year, and over the last couple of years, we've been making some changes and modifications to the process and how it plays out. Under the guises where we used to have the old system from the TIF grant, we have phased out through the contract the what they call R&R, the compensation pay at the end of each year that was a carryover from the grant. We are required by state law to have an evaluation system for our teachers and ed techs, and this covers all of our teachers and teaching positions. Some of the biggest changes this year, we've gone to a 3-year rotation cycle instead of everybody doing it every year. Trying to make sure that the conferences and the meetings are built in a timely manner. Also try to build in time where using our curriculum leaders as curriculum coaches and content area experts, either deemed by the building administrator, or if the individual teacher wants extra help or scores low in an area, they can get extra help and coaching from the content leaders and then have a evaluation observation. One of the options they have too is a teacher at any point in time can record, videotape a lesson and share it with the administrator if they're not comfortable with the administrator coming in, or just a timing thing. Teachers can ask for, at any point in time, if they have a lesson they want to do, they can ask for an administrator to come in. If not, then the others are just, they're walkthroughs, but they're unannounced. So at any point in time, an administrator will go in, and it's about a 30-minute block of time that they're in the classroom to go through this. Depending on what step in the 3-year cycle they're at, it dictates how many observations they get from the administrator. All probationary staff, which is anyone in the first 2 years, gets 3 observations, and anyone in the full observation cycle gets 3 observations. It's fewer if they're in step 1 or step 2, once they're beyond probationary status. So this handbook outlines it. It goes on our website. All the staff follow this. It's built into some of the staff meetings and workshop day times. We work on our professional goals, which also switch from an annual thing to a 3-year professional goal, to try and encourage them to pick a bigger project and really work on and work over time. So it also doesn't just focus on a given class or a given year. You give them time to really build off of that, and it takes out, as the state did a few years ago, the student learning outcomes, learning objectives, the SLOs, where it was test score, student work based. That part was removed. So now it's really something that it's a professional development that the teacher really wants to work on, a project they want to work on to better themselves in their teaching. And so this handbook just outlines all those guidelines and deadlines and protocols that they have to follow.
Any questions at all? Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the TPEG handbook for the 2025-2026 school year? Thank you. Unanimous. Number 5, to see what action the board wishes to take to nominate a representative for the WMRPEC for the 2025-2026 school year.
I nominate Scott Cole.
Thank you, Destiny.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Stephanie. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of nominating Scott Cole as representative for the WMRPEC for 2025-26 school year?
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Scott. Number 6, to see what action the board wishes to take regarding the first reading of policy AD, mission statement, and the policy committee will have a recommendation.
The policy committee recommends approval.
And we do not need a second, where we have the recommendation from the policy committee, so I'll open the floor for discussion if there is any. Beth?
Is this the mission statement of our school district? Okay. I know you said we looked at 2 different documents and, right, is this the one you said interpreted us? I see that it was probably based on a 1991 document. Have we looked at like other, I'd be curious to look at other school districts and look at their mission statements and see, maybe for some inspiration. I don't know, if there was anything else looked at when,
So we looked at the portrait of a graduate, work that was done in this complex, middle school, high school, but also K-12, when the high schools went through reaccreditation a couple years ago.
okay,
And we published the portrait of a grad, which had a vision statement, a mission statement for what everyone wanted for graduates. And that was a process that we had community input back at the time. It was limited because it was COVID, so we had to do virtual meetings, but staff meetings. So we took what was in the original mission statement, which was pretty vanilla, and tried to look at pieces that had already been gone through for the mission statement for the portrait of a grad, which was something that all staff members in the district had input on and worked on, and kind of just try to blend them together, and instead of recreating the whole
Yeah.
thing, since it was already there.
does our district have a vision statement also then? Or is this mission statement the only like major leading document for?
There's a policy for a mission statement, not for a vision statement. There is a vision statement that came out of the portrait of grad work as well that we could look at in adopting, but based on the policy. And part of this was, now that we've gone through the last couple of years of our policy, I've started going through and just starting to look at dates and trying to go through and just doing updating reviews of policies that haven't been touched in 30 plus years. And so this just happened to be one, kind of where we started from. And this is just a first reading of trying to gather input on if there's anything that either doesn't strike a chord or people might feel is missing, or this is really just a chance to try and talk about.
I'm kind of along the same line. So there's like 2 ways you can go to about a mission statement.
Yep.
The traditional way, which is this that nobody's gonna remember, to be honest, or a very succinct 3-sentence max that you try to get your goals out that people will actually try to connect with and can actually remember the full thing. And then you have the vision statement, which kind of lays out what you see for the goals of the community as a whole or a business that would do it. I just think when it's so long, you're not going to get people to buy in for what that is. I think newer style ones are shorter, older style ones are long, and I bet if you ask people what the mission statement is, nobody's going to tell you what it is.
Everyone that comes to the meeting with
You're going to remember all that?
me.
Yeah, I don't think any staff members would know what it is right now. So that's my opinion. I think a short, succinct something that really captures what we are trying to do as a whole, and then putting all the rest of it on a different document would, I think, help people understand.
I do feel that if this is kind of what's being held for everyone to measure success and for direction and tone for teachers and admin and board and everything, and it's important to highlight certain things and not go a traditional kind of brand mission statement route. Just because it's kind of the guiding principle and guiding document that we kind of measure everything by.
We did talk about this on the policy meeting, and kind of discussed, Mark had mentioned workshops that he attended, that really have considered the change for an educational platform and making sure that your mission statement isn't just short and sweet, just posted everywhere and making it more in-depth and meaningful so that people can really, like Stephanie said, relate it back to, our core values here and give people something that they can go back to when creating policy, when creating job descriptions, when doing different things, being able to have something that's really solid for us to be able to compare what our our goals are for. That's what we've just discussed in the meeting, and that's why it's as lengthy as it is.
I saw this, Brian, this came to the committee, and it was, it seems kind of almost obligatory to say something, but with that said, I guess I look at that one, the first sentence, the second paragraph, that's an action sentence, I think. I think that's, there are no goals here, this just says we're gonna talk about it annually, and I think that's a great opportunity. When I read that, I'm like, well, this is good, my chance to try to sell you some of the ideas I've been bringing up the last couple of years. If I can't get a majority vote, at least I try.
I think you're looking at this one.
I'm looking at,
We're on the mission statement.
Yeah.
oh, well,
We're on this one, sorry.
But,
I got it from her, so, anyway.
you can't have one.
I didn't have one, anyway, like I said, hey, you know what? Ditto for the next one, that was the other one, all right? It's all the same flow, so, thank you.
It is nice to go back to and reference things, but if you want something that people will actually remember and what we're striving for, it's tough to put out a whole page of something. Like, or is the mission statement just that's our goal, people understand it, and then all the extra stuff of what we hold ourselves to can be in a different document, like our district goals and objectives. Like, a lot of this stuff is more goals of what we want to do, rather than a statement of who we are as a district. That's all I'm trying to get across. And for people to know what it is.
So you think we need like a statement, and then in the policy description?
Not a mission
of the
essay, a mission statement.
But these are all definitions. So.
I know. I just it's so, when you have it so long, it's great to reference, but would you rather have something that captures who we are that people actually can remember than something that you have to go back and reference, is all I'm trying to get across.
Like, this isn't our public facing,
It should be, usually they are.
more internal,
The mission statement, we would have a finalized one, would find its way to the website at some point, yeah.
I can say, I have lots of questions. I wasn't on policy committee when they went over this, but I have rejoined since then, so I'll be the next one, so I don't know how in depth you wanna go here. I'm a little bit confused on the structure of this, like it says definitions and then it has, the 6, are those defining words that are being used above? Because I don't know that I see all the words being used above, and I think that's a little confusing. Or like, I don't see self-directed or I get the idea, I like the idea of having a definition of what these words mean. I think that's clear and helpful for a teacher to be like, okay, these are important, this is what perseverance means in my classroom, I don't dislike it, I guess I'm a little bit, maybe just confused on the structure.
The context came out of the Portrait of Grau, which has the graphic image, and has other things that go with it. I did not put those into this draft for that, but if that's something that, different way to deliver.
Well, I feel like maybe it's just definition to
It
me
seems
means
random.
like, this is what this word means that was used above in this statement.
For that
And so
context.
that's how I would be imagining I'd be reading this document. I like that communication is in here, because I think like headed into the future in terms of all the AI, this stuff and you know, like I feel like children being able to express themselves and articulate, like, I like that that's very clearly part of our goal. I know you told us to be warned that it felt fluffy and that we should think of it in this, but it does still feel too fluffy to me a little bit, because it's, you know, there's like two statements at the bottom under the crossed out lines, but it's like, you know, the first thing is like, we value a learning experience which develops the heart. I feel like I'm immediately like, is that the most important goal of the school? Like, it concerns me that that's sort of like the start of it. Like it just doesn't feel very rigorous, I guess. Like I am all for developing empathy and responsibility and communication, but it feels a little bit like there's like a little rigor left out of here in terms of like students expecting the most from our students.
Any other comments or discussion on this policy?
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Good, we'll start with his process.
Mm-hmm. And that being the case, all those in favor of approving the first reading of policy AD mission statement? Remember, this is a draft work in process, not to sway you one way or another.
Yeah, we're just assuming we approve the first reading, I don't actually.
So this is what will go off when we start the second reading.
Including the
Like,
It
feedback.
doesn't mean any, we're just saying we're gonna take this.
It has to go through the
Yes,
second
yeah.
reading, so this would be the first. This is the jumping off point. Next policy meeting, we can begin.
Mhm.
And the second reading is the final one, right, or no? Okay.
If approved, yes.
Still in comments, or are we voting?
We're
But,
not voting yet, so go right ahead. Scott.
well, I mean, if we don't have traction for this, let's take it back to committee, talk about it some more. It seems a little bit of some,
We have to anyway.
We can, but that's the process.
yeah, but it's on the track too, I mean, I guess the rest of it is first reading, but if there's, I mean, the comments are well founded, take it back to the drawing board, it doesn't, I don't know, that's kinda my thought. And I think I'm on the right one now, we're on the mission statement.
I would say the only benefit to voting it through the first round now is just to make sure that we stay in line with getting as many policies as we can completed throughout the year. But besides that, there really is no reason not to table it, is that kind of where we're at?
I guess my hesitation, we can go, you know, what the majority would like to do, but my hesitation with tabling it is, if this is, it's part of the process, we're
Right.
going over that first reading, so we're not pushing anything through, but we're kind of stalling the process, if that makes sense at all, where we
Right.
can take the first reading, discuss it, take all the feedback, bring it back to the board at that point in time, the second reading is approved, then we go back with that feedback, so just
No,
following
isn't
through.
the second
The
reading
second
the
reading's
official?
If it's not approved.
Right.
Right, if it's not, you know, if we don't vote it in as the second, we would go back with that feedback, and then that, you know, the next term would potentially, but the second is the final if approved.
I just talk from a different point of view. There's nothing wrong with tabling anything, not this or anything, there really shouldn't, there's no ownership in this, I guess I would just offer a different point of view, Madam Chair. Yeah, there's nothing wrong, these things can hold on for months and still vote, I don't think we're compromising our process here, that's my thought. I think.
I think we wanna make sure we have a product that everyone's on board with, in the end, no matter what. That's the biggest thing of it. We're gonna put this out there, that we're gonna follow it. We wanna make sure that it's as complete as people feel comfortable and can stand behind, and we're actually able to follow going forward. That's the most important thing in the end.
Is there someone that would like to make a motion to table, or would we like to move on to voting on the agenda item?
Table meaning scrap it, start over? Or
No,
table?
just take it back to the drawing board
Right.
as is.
And then we
Which
still
is
give
fine.
us 2 more readings to try for us.
So when we bring it back the next time, it would again be the first, which would be fine.
Which would be the
I'll
That
make
would
a
be the
motion to
course of
table. How's
events. Do we have
I'll
a
do it.
second for tabling the motion?
Sure.
Any discussion on tabling the motion?
When you bring it back, can we get a
striked out version, but also like a succinct version of maybe what it'll look like on the page, just kind of for us visual
What a
learners.
final,
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, just instead of having like,
What was strike down and then what it would actually look like?
yeah,
condensed
yeah,
version.
yeah. It might feel less long for not turning the page.
Any other discussion or comments on tabling the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving, or of tabling the first reading of policy AD mission statement until the next policy meeting? Thank you, that's unanimous, we'll approve that motion. Moving on to number 7, to see what action the board wishes to take regarding the first reading of policy KF-E, building use form. And the policy committee will have a recommendation.
The policy committee recommends approval.
Thank you. We do not need a second, is there any discussion?
Are we looking at, are these two different policies, KF and KFE two?
No, KFE two is the internal that the administrators have to fill out to figure out if there's any additional billing and costs that go with it. What somebody who wants to use the building use, they have the KFE one. That's
See
what they
that,
would fill
but
out.
are we voting on this as one?
It's one, it's all one policy.
We're doing discussion right now. What is the definition of individual recreational use versus hosting? And like, it just seems like there could be wiggle room, like if a bunch of individuals of the district meet at the same time. Like, what is the actual definition of hosting versus individual use of the facility, first page? What would qualify? Meeting more than 3 people in the same location, 5 people? Somebody outside from the district that shows up and then now you have to rent it.
Is that a question of like, people are like, let's go play soccer on the,
Exactly. Let's go sledding on the hill. Let's go.
yeah.
The building's open. Let's
I
go
think that's
inside
what
and warm up. Or like, what is the actual definition? And then it turns into kids playing in the hall. Like, what is the use definition? I think that's missing from it.
I don't have an answer.
That's fine. That's why I asked the question.
What is the question?
It says
It's section
it's-
E.
Yeah, section E on the first page, it just says it's free for outdoor grounds and facilities for individual recreation, that when not otherwise scheduled, if hosting an event at any outside facilities, one must need to submit a facility use. At what point do you have to submit a facilities use versus individual use? If I show up with another family and we're playing around, is, because we organized to meet there? Like, there's no definition of what it is.
For the sled party that shows up.
Right, which I don't wanna limit it, I mean, it's
No,
great
I
that we do
agree. I
it,
think all
but it
things
should, we
so.
should put in definitions of what things are.
I would, the way I see it is, well, I don't know, but in my mind, an individual, if you're doing something with your family, a couple families, is one thing. If you're hosting a fundraiser or an event that you're advertising for or doing something like that, that's the hosting an event type thing. That, I mean, that's just my own interpretation, but,
Yeah, I would agree with you.
but you try to have to word
Would
something
a word
that.
like informal be better than individual? Or something, like,
Yeah, I just, for, like,
If you read through the strikes around that, we were trying to make it actually more easier to understand, and so if you have, we'd love to hear suggestions on either. We were trying to avoid that confusion, but it really is hard to like differentiate between like you're saying, like a sledding party or a birthday party, for just one family versus like hosting an event where you're inviting,
Or sponsor, like host,
right,
like
and whether
sponsor.
you need
That's-
insurance,
it's
how many,
interchangeable.
that kind of, that's what we were, that was the goal there.
I like the word sponsor, so if sponsoring an event at an outside facility, one still needs to submit maybe hosting, just get switched to sponsoring.
I'd move that in his amendment. There's a second, we'll put that in, vote on the amendment. Sponsoring, instead of hosting. That addresses Brian's concerns.
yeah,
Fair
I
enough.
also
I mean,
think the individual, and I like the informal as well.
Our policy, this is our policy, it's been in place for, it says over 20 years here. it's working. The newspaper said there was no policy, that was false. It was, there's been a policy on the books. I think superintendent administration exercise common sense, and it seems to work just fine, so this is good, we look at it and brush it up a little bit.
You said individual and informal?
No, I like the informal
instead.
versus individual.
And
And
sponsors
sponsors of those
posting.
things.
Yeah, I think it does clear up some of that.
Because people stop and use, and sliding is a good time.
Slide, I mean, yeah.
You never know who, I mean,
That's
people
the number
see the
one
hill and they
answer
slide.
when you tune up, when
Okay.
someone says, where can I go slide?
Yeah,
Right, and if you get to 30 people sledding, does that require building
As
use?
long as it's not organized.
Showed up.
If it's individual and those together,
I think sponsoring might
okay,
put it up.
I can make those edits.
I'll second the amendment if it's needed.
And we identified by building which rooms we wanted to keep things contained to, because as it was written before, you could go into classrooms, you can go, throughout the building, which we weren't terribly comfortable with, so, the main general meeting spaces, cafeteria, kitchen, gym, auditorium, by building, kind of felt better. So that was kind of a big.
It's not a menu, you get to use the building the superintendent says you can. Where it is like we said in the meeting, in the policy, where he decides. You don't pick your room, you get what you get.
It's not free for all.
And Scott, your motion for amendment was for those word changes, correct?
Right, strike hosting and
To
sponsoring.
the, individual to informal and hosting to sponsoring.
And there were some costs in the original one that we thought, we don't need to charge people unless they create a mess that our custodial staff has to address. Then they cover that. Like a glitter party.
Glitter should be illegal.
On the back it has the do you require district employee assistance? On the app, if someone's filling an application out, that's when you run the back. If someone said yes there, who pays for that, or, is that,
We bill whoever's renting.
okay,
And that's part of that work has to be done up ahead of time, so they know how much they need to pay if
okay.
they're coming in.
So I'd fill this out and I'd be like, yes, I need help with a sound system. And then you're gonna, when you approve this, or is it you tell me,
The
Ahead of
administrator go
time.
through it, yes, and add up what it would have required, depending on how many hours are required for different things. And it's an approximate, but, some groups choose to do the cleaning themselves versus having the custodians come in. Other times it's not always an option, so it just depends on if we have to call staff in off hours, for a call.
I might be missing, is there a deposit they put down, or they just guesstimate what their usage is?
A straight deposit, no, it's based on the hours they plan on using it, so if they're saying from 2 to 4, they have 2 hours.
So if they create a mess, what happens then if you have issues with collecting?
never let them back.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
It does say there's a deposit under the rental fee. B, the deposit submitted with application is refundable after leaving the facility in satisfactory condition.
It's not on the second page that shows that, the pricing. It's on the application, it's not on the first section.
It's in the,
Oh, it is, a
Yes.
deposit submitted, okay, I
Yep.
see it now, yeah.
maybe in judgment of the boss.
Yeah. But is there, we say we do it, but we don't.
We have a $6 amount.
The, facility where they scratched off may and changed it to will, facility will be granted without rental charge as follows. It's a lot of stuff there, what's that leave us that someone actually has to pay for? The back of the first page at the top, sorry.
Okay.
anything that's not making money doesn't give any.
Those are for non-for-profits. We're not gonna charge not-for-profit groups.
That's been the policy in past practice, if someone wants to change.
So
we can
not,
change
not
it.
for, some sort of an organized not-for-profit group, not just somebody
Right.
making no profit.
Right, like a non-profit.
Organized.
Yes, like a group that's
Well,
organized.
in that case, it would left above nobody pay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, like a
that's okay.
non-profit group is what we were referring to.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then it says other groups engaging in
Took me a second to find where it was.
For
Yeah.
private use shall pay them.
And the change from may to will, that steals a little bit of our bargaining power, maybe?
We just didn't wanna have to say like, oh, we might not charge this nonprofit group, but we may choose to charge that nonprofit group. We just wanted to be clear that we were non-biased and we weren't gonna charge any nonprofits. Sorry, I'm not the staff. I don't.
So, okay, so, for discussion on that, like, we have a library, right, that does not have any meeting space, it's too small. And, but like, someone's doing like a book club,
Municipal sponsored groups and organizations is counted in there too.
the library is not a municipal organization in our town, so.
Okay.
Fair, different issue for a different day. But, like, I'm just trying to think of like a group that might have met there that would wanna meet at the school, like a book club, but now that would be, like, if it's not officially sponsored by the
They would
library,
be
would
paid,
that?
under this, they would be charged.
Okay.
Go ahead, Scott, you beat me.
I was just gonna, at the policy review, I made the statement that it's a $17.6 million expenditure we have year to year right now. We might as well, why burden people with a few bucks here and there, we're not gonna, we're lucky we have groups that wanna use the building, they're connect the community, it's all laid out there, fraternal, just, you know, our locals, give them a freebie.
We could
That's how I feel.
We could add
Give 'em a
community
freebie.
sponsored events under that.
Do the birthday parties pay?
Yes.
The birthday parties pay, okay.
Okay.
I would,
We don't need the money, but whatever the board wants to do, I
I
think
would
it's
prefer the
silly to
birthday
change a
parties
few
be
bucks.
free, but I don't know if they have costs that are associated with them.
Pretty much where I'm going with it. I'd rather have the deposit be the thing we look at and
Sure.
do the community. Like, put down a deposit if you mess things up, we're taking it. And if not, thanks for being part of the community and, you know, thanks for the taxes.
One thing we did discuss was insurance.
And for perspective, I've ended up with the responsibility of the Legion building in Bethel to rent it out, and, you know, we get regular use, that's $100 a pop, and, you know, it works, we don't do deposits, but I guess my point is, the community is relatively docile, and the people that use it, you tend to know what's the advantage of being so small here. So that's where we are, we don't have strangers going there, he'll never let strangers go in there, so.
No, I'm agreeing, like, I would love for our spaces to be free since there isn't anything in Bethel, and we just take a deposit check, and then if you leave and it's good, you get it back.
Yep.
Like, I think it's a great idea because there's not a lot of spaces for people to use in this area.
I like
Yeah.
it because the kids feel safe in their school.
Yep.
So would you want it to be then open to anyone, or would you want it to be limited to anything community-based would be under that without
District
rental charge?
members,
But if we're gonna take,
residents.
if we're gonna take deposits, we're gonna take it for everybody, which I think is a burden,
Yeah.
which I think is we're becoming overly bureaucratic, that's all. I think if they screw the roof up, if something happens, they'll be castigated anyway, the people, that's what I think, I think we'll shame them.
Well, they have to have liability
Well,
insurance.
I think we have a little skin in the game though.
Yeah.
If you're given something for free, you're more likely to take advantage of it than if you're like, even if it's $100, like, oh, I want to give $100 back, so I don't know. I think you need to have a little skin in the game and not just,
Taxes.
The groups do have, they need to have their own liability.
If you're having a
In case
birthday
anything
party,
big.
you have to,
Technically, yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to, yeah.
Which you can add onto your house rental
Yeah, you can do a
policy for
one-
just
you
like
can
a
do a one
one-time
day.
payment, which would be another reason why not to charge them, right? Because they already have to do that, it would make sense.
yeah.
Um,
How many times have we had an event that we said like, oh, I wish there was a deposit?
I mean, I see it after a couple of our events that there's a lot more cleaning after events, that I think the custodial staff just chalks it up that we have an event, but there's probably more labor that goes into it. You know, they clean the best they can, but they don't have the tools. Yeah,
And let's face it, they're using
But-
heat and
but-
utilities and
yes,
lights
moving
and-
chairs, they think they put it back, but they didn't, so now you have to move, 20 tables and 60 chairs back where they're supposed to go.
So, after, right, so we're on the back page, it says A, B, and C. Right after C, we added a D, including any, whether we write community or resident, to be free, right, community or resident activities. And then, where it says other groups engaging in a profit-making enterprise or for a private use, scratch or for a private use, and just have it say, other groups engaging in a profit-making enterprise shall pay rent for the use of any facilities. That way, it's just for those big organizations that are making large profits, not our community members. That be.
I like that.
And you would like a fee scale that's there, and I'll
Right.
write a deposit.
But only having that for the big, large
I
profit.
mean, profit making should probably pay more than 25, but I think.
And then we wanted to change where it says deposit, so we're always taking a clean
I think the
deposit.
owner should take a clean deposit personally.
So instead of maybe requested, we want it to be is requested.
Well, I feel like we
Deposit
should figure out
submitted.
what the logistics of that look like before we commit to that. Is that, like, I mean, taking deposits isn't, like, you have to have a,
Somebody hold the money, sign your name.
Bureaucracy.
right, you have to have
You
a
have to
trust account.
Collect it and return it.
Right, I mean, I hate taking deposits because I always
Doesn't mean we have to cash the check right away.
forget to address them.
I mean, may might be a good word then, because it just allows us to, if we want to, but we
Yeah,
don't have
maybe
to.
if it's a high.
I mean, because also like if they're having food, maybe that's an issue where we'd want a deposit, because there's a higher chance that we would need to pay for cleaning versus like.
I'm a big fan of black and white, because then there's no optics around it.
Yeah.
Like, well, Bill got a free birthday party for his kid, but Sally.
I would
paid
be
a
Sally made a
deposit.
mess, she had to pay.
But beforehand, we didn't take a deposit from
Sally
Sally.
had glitter.
Yeah.
That's unfair. Like demonizing the women.
Here, I'll make a motion to add a D and, strike through for or private use.
So which one are you at with the?
On the back page, facility
That-
use
We
will be
still need to
granted,
vote on the First Amendment, so.
Okay. or unless we can,
This one here.
Yeah, we just have to vote on it going back with the suggestions, right? You don't have to vote
if we
on it.
wanted to go through for a first reading, we don't wanna table it.
No, I think you take feedback.
Actions. Actions add them there, gotcha. And then that is involved, gotcha.
We like the structure, we're changing a few things, we vote for it. If we don't like the structure at all, we table it. Correct, right?
Allow that.
Nailed it.
Can you add a deposit piece in there?
Just a couple things, yeah.
No, didn't say anything, I was in favor of that one.
Brian
Don't
was-
say anyone,
Oh, sorry, Brian,
I really think a deposit's good, you're gonna have that one.
I think if you came back and
So
let us know
May.
what the logistics of that are, because I think there are some logistics.
I mean,
I think you have to set up.
Can we just add a cleaning fee? Should be determined by custodials? I mean, cause it's all at the end of it, who's cleaning it up, we're stuck cleaning it. I mean, I feel like that should be the only fee, if we have to clean up after you, here's the rate. Right, here's the rate.
Can we even get that? Like, that's, you know, like,
There's no deposit.
you have to have a liability account,
Right.
to get our money, it's a liability.
So on that same page where it says be a deposit submitted, are we taking that, it says that we're not collecting it.
May be submitted? Well, it's, at the top it says the following may be requested of any group, so I mean, you're not held to that,
Okay.
but we could.
I guess, like, I would say, like, if it seems like a high-risk group, like, if it's a group that's been using the building for 25 years for X event, and there's never once been an issue, then maybe it, I kind of agree with Brian in terms of, like, putting it black and white, but I think there could also be some, you know, if there's somebody that's never used the building before, then that might be a time for a deposit, as opposed to somebody that's consistently using it every year.
I think it's tricky to do
I
that.
feel like
Yeah.
it's
It's
getting
tricky, you just,
complicated.
I
you
do.
know,
I think it's tricky
Either
to,
doing or not doing.
I think it's tricky to collect a deposit anyways.
check it only, turn it into the offices, and you get it back the next week. Don't even cash it until they're out.
No, I don't want to pass it right to the mother. Pay it back.
Right.
You're right, I'll issue a check to pay it back.
It seems like the only difference to me should be the nonprofit versus profit making process and how we charge. I think the more like, well, if it's this, we can do that, and then somebody needs to make that decision, and I just feel like it gets really complicated and quick for people just trying to use the building for anything.
Is a comment I have, is for-profit is go rent your own building, go build a building, go buy a building.
No, it's the dance recital.
That's for-profit?
Yeah.
Oh, the miss, the tattoo.
We all
Like
tax.
Michelle did. Like Michelle did.
Yeah, there you go, 10 bucks a ticket, you see how full the.
You gotta go both days or.
I doubt as much profit. I mean, it's a good operation, it's a wholesome operation. I don't think.
It's the craft fair, it's the dance, you know, and it's those sorts of.
The mineral show in
These
the
are our
summer.
people, these are part of our community. We don't need to chisel them that bad, do we? We're already taxing them. I think that's all I can say.
Mineral people come from all over, like, there's groups that have wide range that do use that.
But then they wouldn't be
That's
community.
But there's,
Well, that's
but
what I'm
there's a
saying.
significant
He's
relation.
asking who that is.
With those rocks.
They're not strangers, these people, we know them. I don't know them, but I mean, it's all part of the fabric. But give the superintendent a free hand, it's working fine. We have a good policy, we've had a policy on the books, it's not like, that was, again, it's back to what I said, it was a false statement last in the newspaper, we have a policy, it works, fine tune it, we get a little cash, if you want some cash, we get some cash, but
Scott, you go through documents and say the I should be a we, and you don't want a black and white policy?
because I do believe in process, and I have strong objections to some things we've done here, but on this one, this is just part of the community, it's the essence of it, that's all. We don't need to give money to people. If we have lawyers, we have cops, we have insurance, we can get the bad guys if we're violated, so. I think that's all. I promise I'm done, I swear to God.
Well, with that being said, let's at minimum vote on the amendment that Scott had suggested, the amendment of changing individual to informal and hosting to sponsoring. Destiny seconded.
Can we vote on amendments?
I don't think we have.
Yes, we do have to vote on amendments.
I thought we only voted on amendments to motions.
Yes, so all of those in favor of the proposed changes? Thank you. Opposed? Thank you, Cheryl.
I wasn't paying attention.
Alright, so that being the case, now the motion that we're discussing is the first reading of the policy with those two verbiage changes. Was there another amendment thrown out? The D?
I would like to make that other amendment, would be.
So
scratch through of
please
the
state
front.
your amendment, Destiny.
So D, I would like to include community or resident. I don't know if you wanna call them groups or, I don't know what the proper. Groups, community or residential gathering
You said community resident activity the first time.
activity, okay, yeah, that's what,
Does that work?
yeah, there's too much conversation.
Right.
And then scratching through, the paragraph underneath that, or for a private use. So it would just say, other groups engaging in a profit-making enterprise shall pay rent for the use of any facility.
And you wanted that as a section D, correct?
No, that would just be
And that's
that
like
next
striking.
paragraph, we would just be striking out that,
Gotcha.
the or for private use. So we have a D including community and resident activities, and then we would still be charging the profit-making enterprise groups. That is my motion, if anyone would like to second.
Is there a second? Thank you, Eva. And all of those in favor of the proposed amendment of adding a D, community resident activities, and striking private use? Thank you. The amendment passes.
You too.
Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, can I add one too? I'm still on the policy.
Alright, that being the case, all those in favor of approving the first reading of policy KFE with proposed amendments? Thank you. Motion passes. Number 8, See what action the board wishes to take regarding entering a workshop session to draft board goals for the 2025-2026 school year in accordance with policy ADA, school district goals and objectives. And the policy committee will have a recommendation.
We recommend that we keep it to a certain time frame.
Good luck with that. You recommended approval?
Yes, policy committee member.
We do not need a second. Any discussion on entering into the workshop?
Yeah, we used to find, what does that mean, like, how's a workshop session different than like?
We've gotten fairly informal tonight, but a workshop session would be far more discussion based rather than, and we could incorporate other members, which I was gonna mention as well, whereas like admin could weigh in, it's just far less formal, more of a kind of a workshop brainstorming session rather than, you know, moving through motions and such. And
Okay.
Actions, excuse me. You're very welcome.
Hopefully creating a product at the end of the night.
Right. Or at least rough version. Any other discussions, questions on entering into the workshop? Seeing none, all of those in favor of entering into a workshop to draft school district goals for the 2025-26 school year? Thank you. The motion passes. And as mentioned, the purpose of this workshop is to establish a set of goals for the board. And these goals should reflect our developing mission statement and the ever-evolving needs of the district. And should also be in accordance with policy ADA. And once board goals have been agreed upon and drafted, the superintendent will draft his goals accordingly and create a framework for the development of administration goals and actions. I'm just gonna invite these guys to join in, but they can't now. So, with that being said.
They're running away.
It depends on the executive session, yeah.
Well, according to this policy, we get to then tell them what their goals are, so.
Right, right?
Ideally, if we have board goals, then I can set goals, they can set goals, and we go from there.
Yeah.
And then that's how we measure things.
No, I know, in theory, we would, I get that structure, but it's like weird,
You're
the
you're
people with the
directing.
least experience in the schools are the ones setting the top goals, like.
So, hey, you're in the board?
It was just an offhand, I said, welcome to the government.
I don't know if anyone wants to start with, I know we've had some topics that have percolated throughout meetings, like I know PR development was one that's been on the horizon. I don't know if
I'm not overly prepared for right now, I got a few things in my head, but, you know, I don't wanna just split it out, but maybe if people have ideas, throw them out, but also have an open window in the next 10 days or something like that. Some things I brought up in committees, and you and I spoke on the phone, I got a few things I'd rather give you something in writing that can be handed out, as my contribution, then whatever we percolate through, and, you know, some people don't like what I have to say, but at least if there's a vote at some point on a proposed goal, we know I don't like that, but at least we know. So that's my thought. I don't have much tonight, but I do think this is good air, and I think it's in the right direction, so.
Well, we can use this evening too, as, you know, in hopes of ideally at least drafting out our goals, but they're obviously, we can revise them, you know, from there and take feedback beyond tonight too. So you can get kind of the framework
Yeah.
correct.
This summer in our administrative retreats, we set a rough draft of a 5-year strategic plan for the administrators and all the buildings trying to work towards common goals and have data-driven things to be able to report back on. But all depending on what direction the board feels that needs to be in there. But we picked a couple things that we're already working on, but need to focus on more and make sure we have the data to track over the next 5 years to see if we actually are meeting those goals and targets. And so we kind of started out that way back in July. I was gonna present those, but I wanted to wait until we went through this first as well, just to see if they align or not, because if they don't align, then we'll go back to the drawing board and readjust, but.
Well, I don't have a, like, specific goal, but I do know that there's a lot of, curriculum work that's happening right now, and I don't know if that was kind of part of that strategic plan that you talked about, that, like, your rough draft, but I would be interested to see kind of what one of our goals help guide that.
As far as developing or rotation and supporting new curriculum?
I just know that there's a lot of like curriculum, I know everybody's going through, you're working on making sure that everything kind of fits together better, and there's a lot of curriculum tweaks and adjustments that are happening, so if one of our goals can help boost that work, then,
As the state does their, well, usually it's a 5-year review of the standards in each curriculum, they take turns to go through the cycle, but they've gone off cycle and they did 4 curriculums at once, and then they paused the last 2 twice now. Social studies is the last one that's been paused twice, as the state tries to weigh out what they want to put up for standards for social studies in general. But that's one of the struggles we constantly go through, but also depends on what programs support those curriculums and the needs.
I also, that, and I was also thinking about, I know in the past you've mentioned that like the standards, you've been doing a bunch of standards work and adjusting those standards to make sure that they are, a little bit more refined. And I don't know, I just think if there's a lot of curriculum work happening, then, maybe it makes sense for one of the goals and objectives to be written in a way that helps facilitate that work.
Yeah, even just us knowing and seeing, getting maybe a presentation on like what.
Well, come to our education committee meeting.
Well, okay, is that what's is that what
Yeah,
I do?
yeah.
I wish I could have fit it in, I
Yeah.
really do.
Trust me, I get it. But yeah, that's what every meeting is
Okay.
about, is, learning about different curriculums and those sorts of things.
Just one of our initial goals was attendance, reducing chronic absenteeism is a constant battle that we're always working on, but trying to set actual numbers to paper that we can have targets to be shooting for. We talked about our standardized testing, using the NWA map growth testing that everyone is, so we have a constant measurement going all the way through the grades to see if we are making growth, making gains, and trying to move kids into the meets and exceeds categories, so 50 percentile and above. Those were 3 of our big targets that can be data driven. We can collect data, we can work on it together, and it doesn't matter which building you're at or which level you're at, everyone is still working towards common goals at the building level, but also the district as a whole. If that helps us have an idea of some of the things that they targeted, that they're part of our BSEA grant we have to do each year. It's part of the Title I compact that has to be done each year. So, but really now, once those things are set, that's a conscientious thing that everyone's working on. It's not just the administrators, the staff, it's working with the PTAs, it's working with outside resources to make all those things part of the focus and forefront. And it's a 5-year goal and trying to make those things achievable. I don't know if that helps or hurts, it just, that's. Go ahead.
What else? Can we step back a second, maybe clarify what we think a goal is? That might be helpful in our discussion. Like in my mind, or the way I define a goal, it's like a more broad, sort of directional, inspirational, smaller statement. So for example, like what you were just talking about, like to me the goal might be something as simple as like improving student achievement. That might be our goal. And then like the objectives are then the specific measurable things, like improving attendance. We can measure if our attendance is getting better, or evaluate our curriculum. We can measure how many of our curriculums we actually like went through during the year. I don't know if that's what I just like didn't, I think maybe if we could come to an agreement of what we're trying to.
Everybody's not sure.
I think that's
Because it's like how
helpful.
nitty gritty are we getting, and to me, I feel like the district goals should not be too nitty gritty, they should be
No,
fairly.
correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of our objectives are going to essentially be the superintendent's goals and administration's goals. We
The
are creating
overarching.
that broad picture, and then they are putting that into play and essentially, performing the actions to make that happen.
And in that sense too, I feel like there should at least be one goal related to each of our committees. Because if we're saying it's like important enough to have a facilities committee, we should have something related to that, whether it's like, it's my least thing I know anything about, but creating a safe school environment or something might be related to facilities and personnel.
Or that 5-year capital, like 5-year improvement. What is it, Mark, that we're always doing, a 5-year?
Capital improvement plan?
Yeah, that.
And like finance
What needs
committee
to
might
be-
be like ensuring we're financially responsible and accountable or something.
goes along with what Beth just said, but I think a goal, and it's really hard to achieve and really set it, but I think community and parental involvement is a goal of ours that I think once you can get that, a lot of the curriculum and the other, like that a lot of school, you don't have to have a lot of money to have a really good school district, but the parental and community involvement goes a long way with getting scores up and, you know, attendance and as a whole. I think it really starts there. I think that's a good goal.
If you come to parent-teacher conferences, they're like, oh, you're my first, and I'm the last
Right.
parent-teacher
Yeah.
conference of the day, and I'm like, are you kidding me? You sat here all day and nobody came?
And this is gonna sound terrible, but like putting a table up at a football game and saying, I'm with the school board, do you have any
Ask me
questions?
questions.
Going in the lion's den with that, but having those open, like they're obviously not coming to us.
Do I volunteer?
So,
Nominate Brian to sit at that
Brian.
table.
I'll second it.
that's fine. But they're not coming to us, so we need to figure out how to get to them,
Change the outreach.
to understand.
Well, I think that goes back to kind of the argument.
Yeah, it does.
I mean,
That's a whole other one.
the community involvement thing I think is important too. I wish people would come here and, do we know how many people zoom in? Can we
Oh
see
yeah, I've
that?
seen
Are there-
YouTube has the shares. I looked it up like a week later once, and there was 4 views.
Well, but it's televised too, I
And
know
that
the
was
number
one
of
of
people
you,
that watch
you
on local
missed it.
access television.
Okay, so it's televised.
It
It's
is
not
televised,
Yep.
and you can't, I don't know how to gauge the viewers on that, but.
It shows views as it's going.
No, but
Okay.
she's saying you're on is
Yeah,
it
no,
just on
but it's on
YouTube?
what, it's the Western Hills
Yeah.
Access
You can
Television,
see how many
Yeah.
people.
on their YouTube channel, it's on TV too, like
I
actual,
don't know.
like tube, like not tube, but you know what I'm saying.
I only know how to find it on YouTube, and it
Right.
shows you the live
It hasn't
view.
been working. Channel 11. The local access. It
It's a
hasn't,
local channel.
Channel 11, yeah.
Yeah, they're around here.
We in the civilized world, we have cable.
I actually really like that goal of community involvement because it's something that we see at like all different levels of the work that I do with the school. I mean, we have a PTA meeting and it's hard to get people to show up. We, you know, have a booth and it's hard to get people to volunteer.
Boosters.
Right, like I think that, and I feel like the trickle down effects of that are huge, like in my mind, I've been, it completely, not really related, but I've been thinking about like bringing in, I feel like there's a huge community of people that are homeschooling their kids in our community, and I'd love to hear what we're doing that's not drawing those people in. So like having conversations that might not be the most comfortable conversations, but you know, bringing in different voices, and helping that guy, I don't know, something I've been thinking about. I'm gonna do a Google survey of homeschool families in the district to,
Well, and all the while acknowledging too that they're part of the district too and integrate, while they may not be enrolled here at school, but there's great overlap and
Right.
collaboration too, so.
And they play sports.
Absolutely, yeah. What, Andrew?
The attendance, is that, do we have a problem with chronic?
I think
Is
the
it-
country does.
Yeah,
Definitely the state of Maine.
Gold State does.
and it's, what can we do about it? It's the families more likely, right? It's not the kids not
No,
coming, it's the parents.
it's about the parent outreach, the amount and the volume. And part of it is out of their control, where we live, doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, they're not always in
They take
town.
a day.
They take an entire day to go to an appointment, so that's one. That happens a couple times a year, they add up. We see a lot around vacations outside of school vacation time. There's a whole week of time gone, that adds up. And yeah, I think part of it is people understand, things happen. And those are great opportunities, and family time is never gonna be devalued, but just trying to see how much time. It's also looking at, staff attendance and staff absenteeism, and what's missed when staff is not there, and then kids aren't there, and then that they both add up. That's lost learning time. There's no way around it. So just trying to look at all those pieces and just knowing that we're not asking for 100% attendance. We're not asking people to come dragging in, coughing and spewing all their germs, but, you know, trying to be conscientious about it. We have a system now with Power School that will be starting up again, but the postcards that come out, monthly postcards, those let people know where their kids are at with attendance. The robocalls will go out at 10 or 10:30 in the morning just to say, you know, we acknowledge your kiddo's not here yet. Is there a reason? We haven't heard from you. And those things happen, people forget to send a note, they call, emergencies happen. We know life happens. That's not the purpose of this, is just trying to understand that when you're struggling and you missed last time, you can't just make it up with a piece of paper or a packet to be sent home. The conversation in class, the things about in class, the hands-on activities, you can't recreate those by getting a packet of papers. And so trying to be present for those moments, or when kids are doing, it happens a lot at TFA, group projects, big presentations. If you're not there and part of it, not only letting yourself down, but your whole group now has to try and pick up that. Life lessons, it happens to everybody in the workforce too, but trying to understand the value and to make sure that's valued by everyone involved. Those types of opportunities, those type of things are a challenge. And the chronic absenteeism rate post-COVID has more than tripled across the state in our area. It has gotten much better at the elementary level. It's slowly improving at the middle school level. It has not rebounded at the high school level. And so trying to figure out what that change, that challenge is, part of it is because we do offer so many different pathways for kids and different opportunities, it does take them out of school, but that is what they're signed to do, so it's not a penalty. But it's when they start expanding those opportunities to take them out of school even more on the days they're supposed to be here, it's hard to catch that up. So we see it, the number at the high school is what we're not moving that needle as much.
I imagine it kind of feeds itself, it's like a product cycle. You know, if you start missing work, it's hard to make up the work, then you're chronically behind, and it's like, why bother, and there's school,
Yeah.
so I imagine it's kind of
It's hard to call it a
hard hole to grow up.
Anyone that's on Facebook, there is a page called Count Me in Maine, and it's an entire page dedicated to the chronic absenteeism of Maine students, and they've got some pretty good information on there. One of the things they posted the other day that I shared to our Woodstock page, the PTA, was students who miss less than 2 days in the first month of school are less likely to be chronically absent. So they have a lot of like good data that they're pooling together. So if you, I believe they might even have a website if you're not on Facebook, but it's Count Me in Maine.
They have resources they'll share for free with schools.
Yeah.
We tap into those resources and different things, but it's trying,
It's a big problem.
it's trying to figure out what the barrier is, a lot of times. And why won't they get a bid? Why, if they miss the bus, what is the backup option? If parents are already going to work, kids know that. They're gonna take advantage of the system in the situations they're in. How do we reduce some of those situations with excuses too? And we've taken a van, we've gone to pick kids up. Okay? 9 o'clock's better than no o'clock, you know, so it's, so you miss a bus, so you were stuck.
Maine is that much worse than surrounding states?
No,
Like New
but
Hampshire, I mean, I know that's the one we're dealing with, I'm just
it's
curious.
similar, I think it's
It's easier to solve it where we have low student counts too.
Right.
Yeah.
Percentages
True.
shift very quickly when your population's not big.
Yeah, I was just curious if it seems too strange, it just begins to.
And this goes beyond just sickness. It's not just sickness, cause I feel like us parents are like traumatized, especially like those of us that had kids in daycare, like, it's like, oh, well, my kid's gonna get sent home anyways, so might as well keep them home today, like, you know, how many times has that happened, like, but it's beyond that, is what you're saying.
So the state looks at it in 2 ways. We have truancy, which means if you're absent consecutively over so many days total. Chronic absenteeism, if you're out of school period. Doesn't matter, excused, unexcused. If you are not in school and everyone else is, that's how they, and that's anything 10% or more. So out of an entire school year, 17 and a half days or more are missed, you are labeled as chronically absent. And that's what the state uses as numbers going forward. And it doesn't matter the reasons, just it's 17 and a half days or more of not in class. So those are the numbers we are trying to battle. And just trying to reduce that number so that class time functioning makes sense. It all leads up to trying to make sure that the diploma is valued and has been earned, and all those things are in place. And it's not just, it's not seat time. It's not just about seat time, but it's about what gets missed if you're not there. You can't make those moments up. So that's the challenge. things happen, but if you think about it, 7.5 days, that's a lot. That's a lot of time. You're talking over 3 weeks of not being in school. And that's the minimum level. And we have kids over that. So, there's bigger things at play.
How many teachers are currently absent by those standards?
Last year, no,
I was thinking,
I ran the report as well.
We talked about it a lot last year.
It was,
Clearly an issue.
we had over 30%.
You used 18 days.
of people on payroll.
And how many days do they last?
18.
Well, they get 18 each year, but they can accumulate. So they don't use any roll forward.
So they don't have to,
Sorry.
Right.
essentially. It's not like they're losing it if they don't need
That
it.
would be a big reason why our kids don't feel like they need to be here.
18, what's the,
Because
how
this
many
is other
days
teachers
is
are
the school year?
182. Teachers are 182.
Pretty big percentage.
It was a big percentage. And that's something that
I mean,
I've
18
started,
days.
We're
just like the
tracking.
students get reports,
Right, we're tracking
the
the
staff get updates just pointing out that it's hard for your class to
that new
continue
this
to
year?
come here. I started last year.
Okay.
And I went to the union about it and I shared it with them. I was very, it's not, it's just, it's sometimes people don't, things add up quickly. It's hard, you lose track. You don't even realize that, oh,
You just go up to it.
but it is real. So, and again, people get sick, kids get sick. There are limited options, but that's a lot of time that somebody else is covering your class and
Makes
It's
you
not
wonder
the
about
same.
the
Where
direct
that's
it's not the same.
Well, the other problems having enough subs too.
And we don't have the sub coverage, and we made the shift too when John and I moved into the administrative role of the high school together. He met with the kids right at the beginning of the year, talking about attendance and talking about these things. And one of their biggest complaints was, well, when you pull teachers out to do curriculum work during the day or go out to do PD during the day, and I come to school and all I have is subs for 4 periods in a row, why should I come? Very valid.
Well, maybe we should back
We've changed that whole practice, and we don't do that. And if they do have to, it's no more than a half a day, but never an entire grade level team or an entire department at the same time, because we've heard the kids. Kind of know it, but to hear it from them, understand from their perspective, it resonates. So, the first thing we can do is make sure we show up, and then we can expect them to show up.
Is that what the teachers' union requires us to offer?
What's that?
That many days
It's
off?
the negotiated.
That's their, they get 15 sick days and 3 personal days a year.
You had it right, it's what they require though.
I mean, I broke my collarbone and I didn't take that much time off.
Do other districts have the same issue with their
Yes.
staff?
Yes. We're all battling the same types of things.
Yeah, when we meet like on those regional meetings, that it tends to be one of the lows that districts talk about.
And we have other teachers who don't ever touch that threshold. I mean, you're talking, it's, it fluctuates.
Budget-wise, is there 18 days per faculty member budgeted in to have someone replace them during those days?
We have money in each building's substitute teacher line to cover.
And enough to cover 18 times however many teachers?
Well, they're not all using it, so
Okay.
It's not numerical, go ahead, I'm sorry.
If the teacher is absent and we don't have a sub, then what?
Then administrator sub, or teachers give up their prep period to cover and sub.
Do they get paid for that?
Teachers do if they voluntarily give up their prep period to sub for somebody else, yes. Well sub. With combined classes.
I mean, I just remember elementary school, like the TV rolling in because there wasn't anybody covering, you sit there and watch.
We're in a better spot with subs this year, right?
They all got hired for full-time positions, or part-time positions.
Oh, good.
Yeah. There's only a couple.
So, our goals, community parent involvement sounds like
Great goal.
a big overarching one that's important.
I mean, I think that this is a good example of like, if that was one of our goals, the conversation we just had about making the facilities free, like relates to that, cause we'd be like, oh, one of our goals is, you know, strengthening the community partnerships, we'd be like, why not offer our facilities for free, so.
I've been up to meet those goals already.
Yeah.
You're down? Did it?
I think the PR point is huge, and I bring up every year that we need a communications person, but we never obviously got a budget, but, both for communications with family and stuff, but I think the whole district suffers from PR that's not necessarily deserved anymore, and that's kind of like old baggage, just drugged from generation to generation. So I think highlighting, somehow picking a time and a space to highlight different programs that make us unique, different successes, different, I mean, we do it on the website, and I see that, but I don't know how many, or not on the website, on the Facebook page.
Did you see
Yes.
our Maine Loves Public Schools?
I did.
It's pretty good over
I
for
just think it should be like a
TFA.
regular thing where people come to expect it, like a, did you know, or, I don't know how to do it, but, I
Like
think we need
highlight our
to,
successes.
yeah, to
communicate
celebrate
them.
the good, because if all people do is just talk about stuff that happened a decade ago, that is really not deserved anymore, you know, we offer a lot. And
Those
I
things
just
don't
don't
exist,
think
right, they
people,
don't exist in the same way,
yeah,
that they're complaining about, they don't exist.
right.
Right.
I appreciate your comments, Debbie, but what you're saying, isn't that true of everything now? People have their own misperceptions of everything, politically and different things. It's just one more aspect of people's, people are in their own little segments of their world, they understand their little world, but everything else is like a soundbite to them. And
It's true, I just find that when I talk to people about certain things, certain offerings, certain programs, certain curriculum change, like, people have no idea what I'm talking about. And it's like, that's a pretty huge program that.
people who are
That's like.
involved, people who've got it
Even parents.
direct interest. I mean, most people, so just thinking about it, I didn't really hear anything. The only thing I ever heard at the school was just that they grab on the money. But other than that, it's more just
That's what we need, we want to
kind
hear
of,
positivity.
but you can't push a roll, Pete, that's all. I wish there was a way. If I thought, I've heard you talk about the publicist of some sort, and if I thought it would actually help, kids' quality education, I'd be all for it, but I just don't see how it really can.
But I do think it might trickle down, if we start changing the narrative in the community and then
And we get more
people
parents
start
involved.
feeling differently about the district and the school and have more pride and confidence and, like, it just trickles down to the kids, I think. It might help with the chronic absenteeism.
Involvement and such,
And
right?
involvement.
Like there's a very inaccurate picture of our district painted in our community.
Kids want to be.
It's
here.
antiquated, it's
Everybody's got a
not
misperception, I don't know.
Right, but
I mean,
I
everything, this stuff
would
going
have
on.
to disagree
It's
with
not
you
the
because I
facts,
think
it's like-
making an effort to create or paint a clearer picture would benefit the district tremendously.
I mean, and I think both these things are interesting and true, like, I guess in terms of just focusing what the purpose of the PR is then. Because like, for people who aren't involved in the school and just have an opinion and whatever, like, we don't need to change their mind, but like, I do feel like the stuff does matter in terms of student achievement when I look at like TFA particularly is like a pretty amazing program that does a lot of really great things that gets the most negative talk about it. And that including like parents of students who are in it, and like I feel like that is a good example of something where like if we put our efforts in,
And then they
to
have an
help.
open house and nobody comes.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I don't know, I
Right.
don't know if it's possible, that's a
No,
different.
no,
But like,
just saying.
yeah, focusing,
There's opportunities for people to learn about it, they just.
focusing on the opinions that are directly affecting the achievement of our students, for sure, would be a way to think
Or
about
how parents talk about our schools and our programs and stuff, like, if they're talking down about it, or like, what's this TFA thing? And then the kids come to school and they're like, what's this TFA thing? Or, I'm just using that as an example, insert whatever, but it does trickle out.
Well, we watched that spiral on Facebook a short while ago where it was the only thing that was happening at TFA was kids were hanging in the woods smoking butts. And then that was taken as truth. So the conversation that stemmed from that, but then people catch glimpses of this conversation and it just furthers this misconception that, people need accurate
And you can go
information.
down the comments like 65,000 deep and you're like, oh
Right.
my god.
Right.
I think the painting of a clear picture is good, it's getting people to look at it.
Right, that's a
Is
big part
the
of it.
challenge.
That's one of the biggest parts of it.
No matter how clear it is, they're not even looking anyway. But positivity could help.
But I think
Can't
it's
hurt.
also ways to get people to look, because I think if you, you know, get people to show up to the soccer game and feel good about their school sports, you know, I think there's,
Look at the hillside full of people.
right, you know, then you show up and you feel good in the space that you're, I don't know, I think there's different ways to, I don't have the answers, but I think there's different ways to go about it, it's not super, you know, it's not just posting on Facebook,
Right, that's what I'm saying.
it's a whole community
We
feel.
can put out as much as we want, we gotta decide how and where,
Yeah.
so it's looked at.
That's why you need.
That's what a PR
That's why
person
we need
does.
somebody that is in that position. Now, can we add like stipend schedule Bs without going through the union contract, or do they have to be actual positions? They have to be actual positions. That would have been a good time to put that in there, as a stipend position. Remember that the next time.
I think the PR thing could be under, like if the goal was like strengthening community and family partnerships or something, then like
One of the
PR thing
things.
could be like an objective under that.
There's a cynicism though, it's so deep. The whole, we talk about homeschool, what's that?
You can't just throw your hands up though.
You gotta
I mean, at
accept,
the end of
you
the
gotta
day-
accept what it is though, too.
No, I do.
There's a cynicism, I mean, the homeschooling has to do with, I don't know who Charlie Kirk was 7 days ago, I know who he is now, but you got that, you got anti-vax going on, you got a lot of stuff going on, it almost, you talk about maybe unintended consequences, if you hire a publicist, that almost deepens the cynicism for some people.
Well, it
I
could be a
just-
part-time position of somebody who's already here.
I don't know, I mean, I just don't know, it'd be great, if you could, if it's, whatever, but I'll
Something
support it.
avenues of answer. I mean, do people respond to like, do we have a football team? Sorry.
Yes.
I'm from Hawaii.
We have a high school football team.
Like, do people come to the games? Do people,
It's been getting better
Like,
year
what
over year.
Yeah.
Friday Night Lights, like Texas, everybody goes to the football
I mean,
games.
it's
when I was
I don't
in
know
high
about
school.
Texas.
Well, I know, but like I've lived all over, like,
Baseball,
I
yeah, quite a few people this summer, yeah. or
came to
spring.
see the band when I was in high school, like, what's the draw? Like, do we need a draw, like, do people come to
We need to
games,
know.
or we,
It
okay.
seems like it's getting better. I mean, somebody had posted on Facebook, I remember reading something about like, what was it, baseball was so full,
Josh
or,
and I were gonna post.
and like,
encouraging.
let's keep encouraging and keep, you know, supporting, you know, our local sports, and like, that was nice to see, like, I feel like that's the kind of stuff we need, like,
The
that's
fall
what
attendance so
resonates.
far has been really good.
Yeah,
It's been really, we've had a good turnout, weather helps. The teams are doing well, which also helps.
And the teams are healthy, like,
But
you know,
our
compared
numbers
to
are up
past years,
for the
like.
most part. I mean, it definitely, all those things play a role in it, but it's bringing back, people just, it's a nice day, there's a game going on, let's go watch. They may not have kids involved, and so it is expanding, and the kids see it. I mean, they know when they see the whole hillside full of people, this is pretty cool. You know, when you have an event, the dance recitals one, the concerts one, games are always a big one, but even when conferences and science fair, big happenings. Elementary level, you know, grandparents and special friends day, place is mob. I mean, it is a mob scene, how many people come out. I think we have the big events, it's trying to figure out all the other things that are going on a more regular basis that don't get shared out, and trying to figure out how to share out, you know, and teachers by nature are not good about doing that. They just do it because they're doing it. They don't stop and think, I'm doing a great job, I should be sharing this out there. And so just trying to go out and catch those moments, to share them for them. We have a lot of unique things, and we have a lot of special events and special curriculum things, and amazing staff on a regular basis come in and do extraordinary things. And they do it because that's what they love to do, and that's just who they are. But if you don't have somebody in the school on a regular basis, it's very limited how that gets shared out.
Yeah,
I'm
so
trying to figure
like,
out
how does that
how
get
to
shared out?
change that idea, even with something on Facebook. Unless you're connected to schools that wanna know, you're not gonna see it. Rose tries the paper, as
Yeah,
best she
it's
can to
good
put
paper.
positive things
Yeah.
out, and she's really good about coming and capturing a wide variety of activities and angles and different things, and trying to share out a lot of those unique moments, which is
And then
very much
everyone over-
appreciated.
60, like my mom reads The Citizen.
Was it, what about like sending out to the town, like old fashioned like town bulletins, like what if, you know, what if we're sending out for people, you know, is that a thing anymore? Like, I mean, there are little ways obviously that we can make a difference.
And I think a lot of it's, like in small town like this, is just word of mouth, it's just getting people to talk to each other about the positive.
Bring a friend.
And if somebody asks a question, like take, instead of just being like, yeah, it's good, like take the 10 minutes and talk about why it's good, or like, wow, I was really surprised about this, like, I think a lot of it just comes from, it's contagious.
I feel like there's a physical component to it too, like I really think just like getting people into the buildings, and I know that's one of the professional goals that Tanya's been working on too, is increasing, you know, events and stuff like that, and I think like, if kids feel good about the space that they're in, they wanna show it to their parents, and then their parents come and they have a positive interaction at the school, and like there's a physical thing that happens, you know, when everybody feels warm and fuzzy looking at art on the wall.
The art night is incredible.
It is, yes.
It is like,
I think just like getting people interacting with each other, and I think that has, you know, positive effects for not just the school community, but the broader, I think there's a lot of.
I think the biggest challenge is trickle up. How do you trickle out through?
Yeah.
How do you keep that going beyond elementary school and early middle school years? How do you keep parents coming? The events are happening, but the attendance, people get busy, and sometimes the kids don't want to visit themselves, but just, it is a steep drop off.
Do you think the middle school suffers because it's part of the high school building, and so, you know, I think about like CPS having such, and I don't know, I'm assuming St. Louis having such a strong, like the art night, like this, just like, the environment and the positivity that comes out of that school, I think is pretty amazing, but with the middle school not having its own,
I think there's
physical
benefits and
space,
negatives.
doesn't-
I think it's a challenge when kids feel like they're here for 7 years and nothing changes. The walls don't change, they shift one floor to the next, essentially. So they're always looking for something different. The whole grass is greener, always looking for something different than what they have. I think there's a lot of advantages to being in the same building at the same time, that we're able to cross over, and we were Walker Spanish last year. Middle school kids have access to Mr. O'Connor and industrial arts wing that wouldn't typically happen.
I was just
Yeah,
thinking in
sure.
terms of like fostering that feeling, like in the school itself, being able to like the middle school being able to feel
Right.
like a middle school,
Their own
and make
identity
its
and own-
own, you know,
Right.
culture, like if it suffers from like trickle down of the high school culture, I guess that's what it's.
There
I
are always
think
gonna
we
be
can't ignore
different feeling of gas in the
the
building.
age. Things happen between elementary school and middle school with kids, and it's not always positive. I'm not talking about things that they do, I'm talking about their attitude, I'm just talking about regular
Changes.
tween stuff,
Wow.
changes. So we can't ignore that, it's not, we can't put it all on what the school's doing.
Sports is the biggest for every school that people go to, right? Do we do any cross-pollinations for other things like science? That was a presentation before the football game, or, you know, there's a play does a snippet of something coming up at the baseball game, so people know what's going on, because you have a crowd that's already there, and so all those kids, like I played some sports, but I was more of a nerd, let's be honest. So, like, your stuff is during the day, not in the afternoon. Sports takes over. Your parents are working. Nobody comes. After school, sports, people are free. They can go to it. Like, there's a whole segment of kids that don't have the opportunity to kind of showcase what they're doing at school and have the parents interact and maybe some crossover things. And then also, is there a group of teachers that kind of do community outreach, or like would want to own that kind of stuff, like volunteer, like I'm gonna go to the football game and I'm gonna talk about what's coming up at the high school, you know, next month to people? Would there be a group? I know there's definitely some people that would do it, but is that something that's been ever talked about? Like, you're not mandated, but it would be great to have a community outreach of teachers that volunteer to come up with ideas.
I just think those conversations and stuff happen more informally. Like if you go to the soccer game, like the coaches are there and they are having interactions with, not the coaches, like there's quite a few teachers that are there having interactions with families. You know, there's board members that are there and.
Well, they're just talking. Are they talking about what's happening?
I mean, I don't know, I'm not hearing their
We
conversation.
make an
but-
announcement at halftime. Have a teacher at halftime, be like, hey, this week, this month, whatever, like, there's a science fair, there's an art fair, there's a play, there's a recital that you guys may not have heard of.
I do think that texting is helpful for that, like our new, I just,
Get CPS, you know, and they
yeah,
have everything.
I'm assuming all the
That
schools do
CPS.
that, right? Cause I feel like that's helpful for,
The preview, what's coming for the week.
yeah, I don't know if there's a way to like even work little things into that, but that's like a direct, like, people read their texts, like, they might not read their emails or check their social media, but I feel like it's a way to like get those little announcements. I mean, I guess they only go to the school community, not to the wider community, but I guess we gotta start somewhere.
And then like, I don't know if it's possible here, cause when I was overseas, we did DoD school and they would do a STEM day and they would bring the kids to us. So I worked in a hospital. So they would bring the kids to us and they'd have like, they got to go talk to a surgeon. And they got to talk to, you know, a PT and but it wasn't just healthcare, it was, they had STEM days just throughout the base. And for us, like, we had to volunteer to be involved with it, but it got us involved with the kids at the school. And then it got them out of the school to kind of see adults working in different professions, and it wasn't just like someone coming to your classroom and being like, I'm so-and-so's mom and this is what I do. Like, they were in our clinic, they, you know, got to see stuff.
They do that, they bring in the Sunday River.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
but you could expand it, it's been amazing when you come to Sunday River.
Which
The
age
kids
does?
like it too.
High school. High school.
In seventh grade, this is in the last couple of years, through 7 weeks. The juniors have their career week.
And they do job
but then
shadow.
The job shadow, and do a whole week and build off of.
No, we, talking about PR, we do have the middle school group that does public relations, right? So maybe that's something we also play off, right? And, I mean, do we have any high school equivalent of that? Like a high school newspaper group or? No. Cause it seems like high school is where we can all agree, like, it's bottoming out, right? Like, elementary school seems like the parents are involved-ish, middle school, they're slowly fading, and by the time we're getting to high school, that's where the
You're
struggle
talking
is.
about parent involvement?
Yeah,
It's tricky, it is tricky at the high school, because kids want to be more independent, you're pushing to be independent, parents try to step back, but then they still need to have the information. So it's a tricky tightrope.
do you think the kids just aren't sharing enough to parents, do teachers need to be sharing more?
I'm living it.
I mean, that's maybe something that needs to be, you know, like, are they sending out a weekly, like Lindsay does, like, you know, is that happening, is John sending
It's one
out?
of John's goals this year, yeah,
Okay.
so we've got community parent involvement still is the big umbrella, is that, and then we have subsections under that, and that's a big one, but it's a
Yeah.
lot of, I mean, there's a lot to be done within that. Maybe that's where that's where we focus, and then figure out the subsets within that, as far as goals and activities.
I don't know if this is the place for it. I just sent something out to the education committee that I was thinking about, but you know, we've talked about in the past, like, making sure that we balance kind of the tech work with writing, you know, like, writing things and experiencing things. And using TFA as sort of this way of getting kids involved, hands-on, practical application, different way of learning. And with AI on the horizon and everything, you know, the future changing at warp speed, I feel like the more hands-on, the more practical application we can infuse into the curriculum at large from kindergarten up through 8th grade, and then, like, I'm not saying culminating as an ending, but culminating in the TFA experience. And I'm not saying involve, you know, the TFA 4-H facility, but just the hands-on philosophy. practical application of things and getting people involved, getting kids
Less
involved.
screen time.
Less screen time, less sitting in your chair
Be their
time.
mission too.
Yeah. And just kind of infuse it everywhere that we can. I feel like with all of the changes going on with AI in the world, and who knows what careers will look like in the future, I just feel like now's a good time to look at that kind of philosophy in curriculum. And since we already know it and have it and love it in a certain area, you know, push it out.
Do you have an ideal number of goals, 3 or 4? It wouldn't just be one.
Three is usually pretty measurable. I think one is,
Yeah, so I mean, like, it's
Or
like
not
for,
kitchen-
like,
like kitchen sink, I think we went with
like,
one.
Right.
I think something related to like student achievement would fit with Steph's talking about community, obviously, and then, I don't know, something related to, there probably should be something related to like our responsibility financially. I don't find that one to be that interesting, but like, I don't, well, you know, like that, at the end of the day, I guess that's what we are accountable to the community for, to like efficiently use people's money. I don't know how that is a goal, but it's obviously something we should consider whenever we're making a decision.
Well, I'm thinking about, like, you talking about subcommittees and such too, I feel like a lot of, or not a lot, but some of the finance committee's struggles stem from what's perceived as lack of transparency and information not being as easily attainable by other people too, so that may be part of the PR, but,
I
or
was
to
thinking about
have
our
something
presentation
where,
this year.
what's that?
I was thinking about our presentation that we've been doing year after year, and maybe how we should try to change it up this year.
Well, and we're moving in the right direction. We've seen a lot more board involvement. We've had people from the town offices reach out, but we wanna keep that momentum and to have, you know, maybe that can hinge upon, you know, not that we don't already, but building a budget and using the district's monies responsibly, but then also, you know, having a transparent, clear picture of, you know, where we are financially and what we're doing, which we try to do, but like anything else that's PR, you get out there and it's not out there.
No.
You know, so we obviously need to do more and do something different, like you're saying, definitely.
I feel like there was a little bit of, right at the end there, after that public meeting that we had, there was a lot of things going around, so maybe
Right, well,
making sure that we present it in a way that doesn't happen afterwards this year.
Would we get like 2 questions and then people went home and jumped on Facebook?
Yeah. It's
You
like-
know, it's,
Right.
yeah.
Take control of that.
No, but like just being aware that we're, you know,
But to make it more,
acknowledging it.
you know, perhaps we take a different approach and it's, you know, it's a little
Maybe
more
it's that night, but something else
conversational
too.
where we can get it out of people a little more so, because then some of those misconceptions can be rectified before they go onto Team Bethel
Yeah.
and
Trying
wreak
to get
havoc.
more community involvement.
I guess I'd offer up a goal, but I think goals take a lot of direction, I don't think we should be limited to 2 or 3 or 4. But I will say, and I wanna, you know, it doesn't matter what people say on Facebook. It doesn't matter what the newspaper prints, it really doesn't matter. I mean, just keep that in mind. Take strength, be courageous, you know, just don't worry about what they say, whoever they are. It just is, that's the world today. The world, it's ricocheting, things are flying around and going all directions all the time. It is what it is. If you think in your heart that you're doing the right thing as a board member, then that's all that matters. It doesn't matter. If people don't like what you do, they can run to replace you. They can run to get me out. That's it.
I don't think what we're, like the PR person, I don't think all of us are talking about that in the sense of like protecting
Let
ourselves.
me clarify, I'm not talking about Debbie's idea, right? Just this notion that somehow we have to avoid or refrain from conversation or exploration of topics because of what somebody's gonna say on Facebook.
No.
Okay, I get that, I got that vibe the other day at the policy committee, there was a little bit of concern about, we don't wanna look bad. No, look bad is in your own eyes, that's all.
It's not a fear of looking bad, it's a desire to paint a clearer picture
Yeah.
of what's actually going on, and I strongly disagree that it does matter. And, my feelings aren't getting hurt because of what people are saying on Facebook, but the district is. And these kids, we need community and parental involvement, and if they're just getting
Negativity.
they're
Just
not
an echo,
gonna get
it's a
involved,
terrible
and
echo
we need
chamber,
that.
it's a terrible echo chamber, hate book, it's really.
I mean,
It
I
sure
think,
is,
like-
but it has its implications, and it is an outlet.
I've got this big massive family and like, a lot of people in my family, instead of, like, everybody knows I'm on the school board in the family. But they take what's on Facebook for the truth instead of saying, hey, Steph, I have the answers to the questions that they're asking, but they'd rather just see it on Facebook and just assume it to be true. So I think the assumption of truth is what we're working to combat.
More people would rather talk on Facebook than here.
But they're
Yes.
having those conversations
Yeah.
informally amongst
Yeah.
themselves, they're just also.
In their mind, it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, in their mind, it's true, you're right, yes.
Right, so I mean, I guess I can print out the budget and bring it around to family events and say like, well, actually, if you look on page 15, subsection 6, Mark isn't making $1 million a year.
But he should.
I think we need to, the thing about the PR is at the end of the day, like, there are a lot of people, I feel like, in our system opting out of our public school. And that is
Yes.
like there, and I think that is actually where it is a problem. Like, our school is gonna be better the more people that participate in it. And so that's where the PR problem, like, if it's just like someone's opinion, that doesn't matter to me, but if it's having an actual negative outcome on the ability of our school to like have the most opportunities for those kids, then it does matter a lot to me.
Hey, speaking to defend the district, be glad they don't vote. The turnout is pretty low. Budget votes, I mean, all that matters at the end of the day is get the budget in and move on. And that's to be
But it
cynical.
matters to me when like my kids' classmates are choosing to go to Oxford Hills, they're choosing to go to any school, they're choosing to go to Gould. They're, they're homeschooling
Not be true.
based on things that like are probably most of the time not true. And I think that is where like, why I'm on the school board, right? Like
And just getting the word out about football games and art shows and plays and like, I don't have kids in the school, so I don't know about these things. And I would like to be involved. I don't even know where to go look for those things. I mean, other than Google.
There's an app,
Google
I
knows
just found
everything.
out this year.
we do have an app, right?
What's the app called?
Sad 44.
Wait, say like, there's an
Yeah, I
app,
didn't know
cool.
there's an app.
What's it
Yeah,
called?
we could.
When I go to the app store, like, what am I looking for? Like, it's that kind of thing. Like, I don't have kids in the school, but I do wanna be involved. Like, obviously, I'm on the school board. I don't even know how to get involved. And I'm on the school board.
But ultimately,
So-
where I'm coming from, it's just, it's about the kids. I know people are gonna talk,
Right,
and I know.
no, it is 100%.
Yeah, no, I'm not
Yeah, yeah.
countering.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It was more
Yeah.
like what Scott was saying. People are definitely gonna talk, and do I wish everybody had great things to say? Yeah, but I'm not an idiot. But at the end of the day, it does trickle down to the students, and it may affect things like chronic absenteeism, and it may affect things, like attitude and pride and confidence and all these things, getting it from the adults around them or their families. So I do think it is important because it does trickle down. And that's where I'm coming from, not that I'm gonna, prevent the comment flood of hate and negativity on Facebook. People just love that. That's like a pastime. It's more how it trickles down to our kids and affects the teachers, the classrooms.
It's the strongest drug in the world, social media.
It really is.
You're welcome.
So student achievement, that's curriculum review, work and needs, follow standardized testing and map growth, and attendance as being under student achievement piece.
Can we put teacher and student
I have both, yes. Sorry, I have that written down, yes. Attendance in general.
There we go.
Attendance general. Community and parent involvement, was all the PR pieces, building off the good things that are happening and finding a way to get the word out, but also making sure that it's not just stuck with the parents and the contacts are in the list. How do we reach out further? And then the financial responsibility piece, looking at our budget process and our implementation, outreach to maybe the town select people sooner and more often in the process. And everything's a public document, everything is viewable at any point in time. If people really want to know, it's better that we're asked versus people just assume and make their own conclusions. But the financial responsibility piece is a big deal, and it is not taken lightly, and everyone wants to lower their tax bill. But understanding, trying to, there is a justification for what's being asked, and it's not just looking for all the wants all the time, and trying to share that that is part of the whole process. At the end of the day, we're trying to find the end product. It is about the product we're trying to put out and make available. Those are kind of three, I was summarizing there, everyone was talking. Is there anything else, or those three enough to start with?
Can we add on the next several days or week or so?
Yeah, this is just, I'm just.
I'd like to work on a few of the
Yeah.
things that
I can summarize, I'll type all this up and summarize out to everyone, and then if people wanna add to it, or we can work on it from there, but just as a working document, just so there's something to start from. Does that work for
Sounds
everybody?
Yeah.
And then books not closed, emails open to any crazy ideas you have from now and then.
It's a working document.
Absolutely.
We haven't voted on anything.
Do you wanna put something in there about, I feel like facilities as a whole, facilities personnel, I don't know if it's just something vague, like fostering a safe school environment or something where that
When
would,
you say that, what do
like,
you mean by that? Like physically safe?
I think both, I mean, I think like that's part of, like you guys have to make decisions, right, in terms of like what you're putting money into, in terms of like maintenance and all that, but
Yeah.
also hiring, like we have to hire personnel that we think are gonna support our students.
Yep. I mean, yeah, we don't
Or
get
like
to,
what,
we
like
don't
what,
get to interview
like
them.
on
That's
that,
that's
on your
part of the problem.
committee,
Yeah.
what would be like a guiding?
I'm gonna say something about making sure our buildings stay
You wanna maintain
good, maintaining like our buildings as far as, we're not getting a new school anytime, and keeping a goal to make sure that we're being responsible, make sure our buildings are maintained at the rate. That could be other facilities and
Things that could be under
I think that,
finance also,
yeah,
but.
doesn't that go under fiscal responsibility, because that is the other side of our responsibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
School state.
Right.
I mean, we're going through the
Yeah,
job
so I just feel like
descriptions,
an
like,
objective under
Objective, yeah,
finance,
exactly.
yeah, okay.
we have job descriptions for people, but we don't get to meet them. So, I mean, it's hard that way. Like, we can update the job
But
descriptions
admin
and add that in.
does, you know what I
Right,
mean?
no,
So
I
we're
know
doing
that-
the over the
But I guess
medical.
also, like,
and the
No, I'm talking
benefits.
about she said the facilities and, like, we're hiring the right people that,
Yeah,
Have
but
our
then I
goals.
feel like that we could also put
Yeah.
as an objective under student achievement,
right.
because then you're like, it wouldn't,
But we're giving, so with negotiations, we're giving the administration and the superintendent the tools to be able to hire the right people.
Right.
So that would be an objective to be under fiscal responsibility, because we're also negotiating.
I'm like trying to
Yes.
deal with things before they become falling down the roof.
I also, and along the same lines, because I really liked your comment, Beth, about the committees, policy should be somewhere underneath there, maybe under student achievement, making sure that our policies are up to date so that students have the opportunity. I don't know if that's the right place for it, but somewhere.
yeah, I was trying to think about policy, I almost feel like policy is like a different style of committee, because the policy sort of is supporting all of the other goals that we have, because all, I mean, it's like, I mean, this
Some
is
sort of
very like,
separate
this goal
objective.
sheet is a policy, like, kind of.
An enhanced use of the committees, I think is in our interest. I'll hold off, I think last meeting we were underserved by you, Mark, and other members of the administration. Items needed to get percolated in the committee first. If things are shown on the agenda, that ought to have been boiled out first. I point to the conversation about the building use, I think we got back into that. And of course, the lawsuit that we got ourselves into, that I think we were underserved there. But skip the grievances, to demand that the committees process things before they get to the full board. Unless it's so important, it's gotta get here right off the bat. And the routine things that Mark brings forward, that we just, you know, appointments and things like that, but I think we've been underserved when things get brought in blindside, whether it's a book ban or this and that, so that goes into operations or something or other, but I think that the remarks are all well founded, everybody's comments are good, I think, and I look forward to seeing Mark's list, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited that this is happening. Gives some direction that I don't feel like we had, or like puts us all on the same page, maybe.
A little better, and thinking the same way, you know, how to frame things that we're thinking of, like, oh, that could fit in that goal, or just to have that framework there, I think is super helpful.
I'll get this up this week.
Well, thank you, everyone, that was very helpful feedback.
We have to vote to.
The last item that we have on the agenda.
Is to, yeah,
Do you, would you like to make a motion to adjourn, Cheryl?
right.
Do we have a second? I'm sure we do. All those in favor of adjournment? Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.